Due to the broadcast. Alright, so I think I can hear you now. Alright, so I think I can hear you now. Alright, oh, but maybe no. Nope. Are you sending me a YouTube video? Yo, this doesn't work. Hold on. Okay, Steve, can you hear me? What? I can't. Okay, so it is the fact that I can't actually hear anyone. Chris, I guess we should have tested this first. See, the thing is, okay, hold on. At this point, I'm pressing buttons. Your volumes are good, everything's good. So I'm speaking to their support. Apparently, they're going to give me exactly. Oh, I think I figured it out. There you go.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
God
Can you hear
damn.
me?
I can hear you now perfectly.
All right, cool. What's going on, brother?
Feeling bullish.
As fuck.
I actually had to turn you guys on.
That's what I said, bro.
So,
Oh, this is fire, bro. I can see it's on. I connected my link, so I'm streaming also on
let's go.
YouTube and on Twitter. So this is fire.
Apparently, this thing should be streaming to Telegram as well.
Telegram's on here.
Apparently.
That's crazy.
So, I'm not sure. I'm going to send this link to a couple of people. Steve, can you hear us?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Perfect.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you
Nice
too.
to meet you.
Yeah. British, we go back a ways. I'll keep it at that.
Okay. I'm sending this link out to people that
Yeah, I'm gonna share it to Facebook as well.
I've kind of figured that I shouldn't share the link out to just everyone, because then anyone can just come in here, and then I just share it out to everyone. So we'll see how this goes.
Well, you can control who comes in, so it doesn't really matter.
All right. So in that case, let me actually share it out to everyone.
Yeah, you can control who comes in, bro. So don't worry about that.
I just did a podcast recording. You know, Chris, you know Dowdu?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's a writer for Bitcoin Magazine. He's started his own podcast. So I just did a podcast interview for him.
I thought you don't like podcasts, bro.
I don't mind being interviewed. I don't like my own podcast
Okay, no problem.
because I typically like somebody to argue with. So what's happening, Steve? Are you into Bitcoin?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Why are you bullish about Bitcoin?
Um, Sound money principles. Clearly, it has a cap on how many, and all the reasons everybody else is. It's easy to secure, transport, and just let it be. Just hodl.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Like people just follow the 3 steps, buy Bitcoin, shut the fuck up, and get fabulously wealthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I got into it in 2017, and dabbled with other alts for a little bit, and then I was like, let's just keep this simple. You know, it's mostly Bitcoin, and it's just accumulate, and that's it.
Chris, what about you? What's your Bitcoin origin story?
Bitcoin origin story. I used to work at Hilton, selling vacation packages for timeshare back in 2016, 2017. I didn't know much about Bitcoin back then, but I was actually, instead of taking phone calls, I was actually buying Bitcoin, and I bought Tron and made some money off a bunch of shit coins, but I didn't understand it back then, And it was $500 to like $1,000, and I was like, I'm not paying $1,000 for this shit because I didn't understand the technology. You feel me? And then I bought some of it. I actually and that was actually back when USI Tech, they got a lot of people, including myself, for Bitcoin. But actually, I was actually at we had a Christmas party, right? And all my friends, I was actually talking to all my friends about Bitcoin and all the crypto, but I wasn't as well versed as I am now. But during that Christmas party, bro, we were all at this Christmas party at a Hilton resort, and I remember like getting alerts. Bitcoin was hitting $20,000, bro, and everybody was super hyped. Everybody was super paid, and then it crashed after that. But it was really, I got into it when I was working at Hilton Grand Vacations, and I was instead of booking deals, I was just buying a bunch of shit coins and buying Bitcoin, and pretty much just, instead of taking phone calls, bro, I was just buying Bitcoin, bro.
What what type of shit coins were you buying?
Like I said, I was buying Tron. I bought Litecoin. To be honest with you, I can't remember all of them. I'm sure I can log into some of the exchanges and look at what I was buying back then. But I was really buying Ether. I was buying Ether, Bitcoin, like the top coins. I remember buying Tron because I put like $80 into it, and I remember that shit went up 10x. So I remember making $800. But because of the exchange I was using, it was Gate.io. They wanted me to send my ID and all this shit, so I couldn't even withdraw the money. So I remember like not even taking calls, sending pictures of myself on my ID on a piece of paper and trying to like get the money off. So it was a bunch of shit coins, bro. But I made some money back then, bro.
Well, that's good. As long as you made money and put it into Bitcoin, that's the main thing.
But yeah, I got educated after that. Hell yeah.
There you go. What about Zen? What about Lou? What about Howard? And we've got Rock. I don't even know how to show everyone.
Why we got no cameras? How come me and you only one with a
Yeah, how
camera?
come there's no cameras here? I'm not shy. There we go. Finally. What's up, Chris? Nice to meet you, Howard. Nice to meet you, Chris.
Oh, how you doing there?
Good. How are
Where
you?
are you? You're in Colombia?
I am. Yeah, I'm currently in Medellin, Colombia.
Okay, I'm in Swaziland, Africa.
Okay. Okay.
So quite a change. But you're in the northern hemisphere, right? Colombia is still the northern hemisphere.
Yeah. How is the Bitcoin adoption over there?
South Africa, it's which we're surrounded by on three sides, is quite prevalent. Yeah, it's happening for sure.
Yeah, for me, I've got my dad is from Kenya, Uganda background, so I want to spend a little bit more time in Africa at some point.
Really?
Yeah. What happened to Howard? Howard just got knocked out. I don't know what happened there. What's up, Dowdu? So everyone needs to follow the Bitcoin Source. I just did an interview for his podcast.
What's going on, Hado? Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Do you know Chris? Do you guys know each other?
Yes, I know my brother Chris, man. We follow each other on Twitter. We've been in some BBB rooms, so I know him for sure.
Well, hold on. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing for me, you know. I mean, that's gladiator school in there sometimes. So
Absolutely.
Where are
Much
you
love.
guys from? Where are you guys from?
go ahead, Chris.
I'm from Orlando, Florida.
Oh, okay. I was born in Miami.
Nice.
Yeah. And what about yourself? Where are you from?
I won't give you the exact place I'm from, but I'm from the northeast of the United States of America.
Okay.
You know, that's one of the things I love about America is that, like, as much as people talk shit about America, it's always going to be the spot where new capital gets brought forward into the world because there's no restrictions on it. You know, I think that's a beautiful thing about America.
Yeah, it's got some advantages for sure. You're from London or the UK,
Yeah.
right? Somewhere.
Yeah, born and raised in London.
Yeah, and you decided to leave. Why?
You know, for me, there was a large thought regarding taxation, but more than taxation, it was about the weather, and it was about the direction that society was sort of moving in the UK. I got really disappointed after COVID. I don't even know if I should have said that on a live stream. I don't know whether that means we're going to get nuked or something like that. But
What about Brexit?
I mean, Brexit is depending on. I'm a believer in that. No matter what happens, what really matters is what you make of it. And so I think that Brexit again is an opportunity for the United Kingdom to do what we do best, which is to do business, to do it well, to do it consistently, create plans, and create a future. We've got a history of doing that in the world. So if the UK can get together and make it the best that we can, I think it can work out really well.
Mm-hmm. The first time I heard you was you were giving an interview with Dennis Porter. I don't know, it was about a year ago, year and a half. It was a while ago.
A while ago.
And
I think he dropped off.
Howard just keeps getting kicked out. Oh, he's back.
I keep going in and out. That's one of the problems with Africa, by the way.
Got it.
Third world.
But you were saying, so you heard me on an interview.
Yeah, and I was you really piqued my interest.
Yeah, Howard. I think
that's when you had your motto. You were just harping on that.
It's the same motto. Step number 1, buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, get fabulously wealthy.
There you go. It actually sticks. You know, it really does. It probably should be the title of your book. I don't know what your book is, but
you can't put a swear word. You can't put the swear word in the title of a book or a
That's
podcast.
true. That's true.
That's the only reason. What's up, Kansas City?
What's going on?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
Life's good.
Why are you bullish on Bitcoin today?
Why am I bullish on Bitcoin? Let me tell you why I got into Bitcoin. I got into Bitcoin because I am a professional poker player. And back in like 2010, I want to say, they cut off, like overnight, they made it illegal to play online poker. So they made it illegal for the banks to allow you to play online poker. So I got out of Bitcoin because of necessity.
And then you decided to. When did you become a hodler? Because obviously you were a game player.
I'm freezing.
He is freezing out a little bit, huh? Oh, he dropped out. Hey Lou, are you with us?
I think you mentioned you had an epiphany when you realized. I think it was the 21 million, the finite amount of Bitcoin, where you felt that, hey, wait a minute, this is something different.
For me?
Yeah, was that true? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think that was it.
I just went through this story on Dowdu's Bitcoin. By the way, am I pronouncing your name right, Dowdu? Is that correct?
Yeah, you're pronouncing it correct. Yep.
Yeah, so we just did his podcast, and I just went over the story again. For me, it was the stock to flow idea, because I had a background in gold. Understanding stock to flow came natural to me, but I had not applied it to Bitcoin until I was listening to the Bitcoin Standard, and then it just hit for me. Like as soon as he said stock to flow, it was like holy shit. What's up, Mitchell? You got your camera on now.
Yo, British, what's good, man? Nice to meet you. I've been following you for a little bit.
Nice to meet you too, man. So what's your Bitcoin origin story?
Well, I was skeptical. Like I was focused on QE for a while, like many years. I kind of forgot about it. Then 2020, I had a big cash pile, and it kind of woke me up. When I saw them print like trillions in my face, it really pissed me off. So then I went back to gold. Within a year, I found Bitcoin, and I like converted it all. So
Has everyone here got a little bit of a gold background, or is that like does everyone have experience with gold?
Gold.
Well, I bought gold. I bought gold because, unfortunately, in Africa, you didn't really have the ability to buy Bitcoin easily. I couldn't get on exchanges properly, and so I was a gold bug for a short period of time, and then I was able to finally get on a quality exchange, and that's when I, went down the rabbit hole. Unfortunately, it was during the height of the bull run, and I allocated a significant amount, in the 50s and 60s. So, but that's okay. In the end, it'll be fine. And of course, picked up quite a bit, down at the lower levels. So kind of evened out.
Yeah, that's the thing. So if in the 50s and 60s, the good thing about it is you get an education in this cycle.
Oh,
Whereas
for sure.
everyone else who buys in the bottom of the cycle has to wait until the next cycle until their education comes. That's typically how it works with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you something, brother. There was something that you always did when you were still like anonymous, which was you always talked about your watch collection, right? And did you liquidate your watch collection to buy more Bitcoin, or do you consider
why you gonna do this to make me not look like a maximum? That's what it is.
I'll bet you I could answer that for him. He's probably got his favorites, and he's not going to give those up because he's married to them. But I'll bet you the ones that were just purely as an investment, he probably got rid of. Am I right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like that story.
No, I never heard it. But that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So all the Rolexes I had, I dumped because I don't really care about Rolex. And then my collection, which had Patek Philippe and FP Journes in them, I still have them.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, every time I look at them, I'm like, well, this is X amount of Bitcoin, and it pisses me off because within 20 years, I don't know how much that's going to be worth. It's like, well, what do I do with this?
Smart.
Do you guys like watches?
I love watches, man. Chris, I see you shining, brother. I seen you. I was like, Chris got some watches too, man.
I only got one, and I like Rolexes, and I want to get a plain Jane, but yeah, I only got a Rolex because you know what? Like I've been talking about in the past, I used to buy a lot of designer shit. I used to buy a lot of shoes. I used to buy a lot of clothes because and I'm a recording artist. So you got to be fly to be a rapper, and that's how it is. So I actually and I have a 13-year-old. My son's gonna be 13 this year. So when I got into Bitcoin, my mindset changed on all these materialistic things. So I don't buy Gucci no more. I don't buy Louis no more. There's nothing wrong with buying those things, and I can afford those things.
You kind of look like Richard Hart, actually. I thought that was you.
It's the shirt. It's the shirt.
Oh, it's the shirt. Yeah, it's the shirt.
By the way, what's happened to that guy? He was all over the place, and now you don't see him at all. Like is he hiding or what's going on?
I think he should be worried about regulators at this point.
You would think so.
Yeah.
I think they're going to nail all these guys. I think they're all going to come down.
As they should.
They just sued a bunch of them. There was like $400,000 fine, and like two of the people didn't pay. I guess I read two of the artists.
400,000, like it's like pennies. A big deal,
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't understand how somebody can. This is what I like. I try and tweet at people that are in the crypto and the Web3 space, because it's like, don't you feel bad? Like your soul doesn't feel dirty if you're in Web3 and you're like your soul doesn't feel dirty. Like one of my friends on Twitter, she works for Real Vision, right? And then I'll do it selling NFTs and shit like that. And I keep tweeting at her like, you don't feel bad? Like after all of this, you still don't feel bad about selling Real Vision NFTs? I don't know. So she's a good sport about it, at least.
To each his own. You can only do your own thing. You're a meditator, right? You're a meditator, right?
Yeah, I do meditate.
Okay, I meditate every day, and once you do that year in and year out, you can't just go down that shit road anymore. It's just, you become more conscious of your life and what you're doing.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, go on.
My bad. Whenever anybody's talking, you should move them to the side. Make their screen bigger if you can. That way we can see who's talking. I mean, I'm not talking now, but yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try and keep an eye. I'm not good at production as well as everything else. So you're gonna have to bear with me. It's my first time. Mitchell, what's your story?
Me. Well, I served in the military for a little bit. Now I go to school right now in the Northeast at a pretty good, well-known school. So that's about it.
Gonzaga.
Where you at?
No, it's
No, I'm teasing.
Honestly, I study economics at the Ivy, and I totally hate it because it's all fiat Keynesian bullshit.
Yeah, it's
a lot of people do feel that way, that study economics at school. It's like,
yeah.
I studied business studies and economics at high school. No, well, I don't know what you guys call it in the States. It's like the 2 years before you go to university. We just call that high school in the UK. And I studied business studies, and I had a business at that time when I was 16. And then my first business plan was of a business that was making more money than the wage of my teacher that was teaching me business. And she picked it up, looked at it, and said, "Who's going to buy shit from you on the internet?" and threw it back in my face. This was a business plan of a business that was making more money than she was. And at that point, I realized I don't need to go to school to learn about anything to do with business or economics.
That makes me think of some advice I got from somebody, which was, if you're going to school or you're trying to go to college, like if you're in a profession that requires you to like do open heart surgery or brain surgery or build a fucking rocket, yes, go to school. But if you're going to school for business, why go to school? Just build a business. That's the best education you can get. So I think when it comes to like business, like the best education instead of going to college for business is just open a business, make your mistakes, rebuild it, learn from it, and continue to build from there.
I agree. There's so much that you can learn just from actually doing shit.
Yep.
You're not gonna learn from reading a book.
Yep. Proof of work, man. That's all it is.
Work. You're absolutely right. Also, I don't know how people go to fucking school for business and learn business from somebody that doesn't own a fucking business, bro. Shit blows my mind, bro. Like, I would rather pay a mentor, which I did. That's how I started my first business. I paid a mentor that actually has a business, a successful business. So that's what I recommend everybody do. Unfortunately, a lot of people went to school and spent hundreds of thousands, or at least 50, 60,000, on education. And most of these people come out of school and don't even have a job in the field that they went to school for, bro. So a lot of people got scammed, in my opinion.
Not only did they get scammed, now they're going to now they've been telling people to go to school to learn how to hold video cameras and how to write and shit like that. And now ChatGPT is going to do that shit for you. The scariest thing about the AI stuff is it took them 2 months to go from ChatGPT 3 to GPT 4. And that's a considerable difference between the two. So within the next 2 years, you're talking about 6 orders of magnitude different from where we are now. Just think about that.
Yeah, the human brain can't really think in that way though, so most people are going to get caught completely off guard.
Yeah,
What do you think? What do you think about the bots? Like AI supposedly is going to just change trading, considerably, and there's some concern there from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think trading, you're being stupid trading anyway. But that's my opinion. I'm not a trader. I think trading is incredibly stupid when 95% of traders lose money.
It's true.
What's up, VP? Who's VP? Tell us your Bitcoin story.
Well, I just met Oliver Velez, your friend.
Of course.
Excuse me?
Of course.
Oh, yeah, your friend. And he was opening a Bitcoin club. So I got in, and after that, I was looking for more information about myself. Well, about Bitcoin, but by myself. And after that, I fell in love with Bitcoin, and I buy a lot of those satoshis to get the Bitcoin. Mm-hmm.
Whereabouts are you?
Where are you from?
Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which part?
Leon, Guanajuato, where the mummies at. You know about the mummies?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Okay, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, I think the AI stuff is quite scary. Like, especially for young people that have been told that your entire job is going to be all creative and this, that, and the other. My friend Jason Williams put up a Twitter picture of Donald Trump being arrested by New York police, and I thought that shit was real.
Yep.
Well, so he wasn't arrested.
Me
He
too,
wasn't
bro.
arrested today. He wasn't arrested, or he was.
He was not.
This was an AI generated photo, and it looked as real as you could get.
I can share the photo because I shared it as well.
Yeah,
But Hado, there's a trick though, right? That I learned with the AI stuff, at least for right now, but it's probably going to be rapidly better in a few months. But how you can know is like when you look at like someone's shirt, or like if it's a police officer, the words will be misspelled. Like it won't say police, it'll say something weird. So that's how you'll know it's AI. But like you said, the iterations of this is going to build so exponentially that within 4 or 5 months they're going to be able to fix that, and then you won't be able to tell the difference.
the scariest one for me that I saw was there was a group that created a bunch of, excuse my language, I know there's a lady in the room, but a bunch of AI hoes to work on OnlyFans. Like,
Image like pictures.
yeah, but like imagine how quickly that turns into video, and then imagine how quickly you're talking to ChatGPT, telling ChatGPT all your pillow secrets, and then it's sending you videos of your favorite type of feet. Like what? What type of world are we going into?
Can you see my screen?
Hold on, let's see.
Nope.
Okay.
No,
You have to accept me sharing my screen, but I have it pulled.
All right, hold on. How do I do that? Oh, okay. Hold on. I see you.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
What is that?
Chris, can you zoom in on that?
Yeah.
Look at that. That looks real.
Oh.
Like
It looks so real.
Oh, is that Trump?
That's Trump being arrested.
Yeah. They had me thinking this was real for real. That's crazy.
and because of his like you would expect him to like be like if he was to be arrested, like you would expect him to behave like that, right? Or at least that's the way the media portrays him to be, right?
Yeah, but they're not going to do it that way. Believe me,
Yeah.
they're not going to do it.
Absolutely. They have a ton of different versions of him getting arrested. So it was like if you didn't know, then and you just saw the photos, you would think he really got arrested. Because
I got caught because I was like, well, this guy likes drama, so obviously he's gonna get arrested right in the middle of Times Square. Like where else would Trump get arrested besides right in the middle of Times Square, banging his fists on his chest?
Well, probably Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach for sure.
Yeah. So no, this AI stuff is extremely, extremely weird. I don't know what's going to happen over the next year or so. It's going to be quite interesting.
Otto, what did you tell me during our podcast about like the AI stuff? Like what's going to be people's benefit?
Yeah, so I personally, like my opinion is that information is absolutely worthless at this point, especially when you have Bitcoin, because there's no information privilege in Bitcoin. Like the example I used was if that building behind me, if I wanted to go and buy that building and I had a deal on it, I have to withhold that information from all of you guys, because if I don't, you guys can go and steal the deal. Whereas with Bitcoin, there is none of that. The only privilege is what price did I buy at. And so with AI, information is completely democratized because anyone can get the right information at any moment in time. And so the only thing that will matter is personality and trust and relationships.
100%.
It's quite scary. So what do we guys think about Balaji's $2 million bet?
You seem to be very positive about it. In other words, positive in that it could happen. I think most everybody else, including him, doesn't think it's going to happen. But he's making a point. Let's face it, and he can afford to make the point.
It could happen really easily, like some very very sophisticated wealthy people, if they really focused on it and they went in hard at one time, like they could push the price much more than people imagine.
Well, didn't we talk about this?
What was that, Dowdy?
I said this is what we were talking about when I was talking about moving the needle. Like if Apple or some company says they're buying Bitcoin, it's
they have
like
hundreds of billions of dollars, like, you know.
It is. I think it's the easiest thing on earth to do that.
If you look at that S curve, supposedly when we start hitting that vertical, it's straight up. It's just straight.
It's going to mull around a lot. Like people aren't going to take it seriously until it gets repriced, like extremely violently.
Right, but then that is a likelihood. As Foss would say, that's the gamma squeeze. Right? And that's very possible. That's why you don't want to be on the sideline. You don't want to be trading.
You can't be. I mean, like the past few days, I've been reaching out to people trying to like reinforce the point. People I'd talked to previously, and they're really not that interested. Like 99% of the population, like where I live, they don't take it seriously, or they might have a small allocation, like million Satoshis, a bunch of Doge or whatever. Like they're not focused on what's actually going on and why it's important for like ensuring your savings. They don't really.
I can't get family at all. I have very, very bright family and wealthy family. They just, I can't, I've tried every which way. somebody came up with, I thought was a really neat answer, was tell them, don't worry about it. You don't have to buy any. It's fine. I've got so much that I'll take care of you when the time comes. And I thought that was a great answer. I thought that was a
That's
great
really,
answer.
I've been thinking about that the past few days. Like I got several family members. I got to set them up with like Trezor, wallets, all that. Like they're good, but for everybody else, like I'm already stacking for them.
That's the solution I came up with when Bitcoin was $9,000. I basically told myself, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to take care of my parents' retirement anyway, and so I get to make a $9,000 bet that their retirement is absolutely paid for forever. And I was like, all right, well, here we go. So I bought enough at $9,000, and hopefully that will pay for their retirement and add some spending money because now they own their own Bitcoin, so they're maxis themselves almost. They own a little bit of stupid real estate, which they didn't get rid of when I told them to. So we'll see what happens.
Well, real estate
So I've been,
portfolio can be, it's hard to get rid of if you're really attached to a certain property, like maybe you've spent significant family time there. You know, you can't just liquidate these things on a whim. Like you might as well just borrow against it and acquire under the 200-week moving average and hold it.
That's exactly what we did for them. It was above the 200-week moving average by the time they decided to act, but that's exactly what they did. They bought one Bitcoin for every property that they own.
It's okay. Like as long as you don't need to get liquidated, if you don't need the liquidity immediately, like none of these prices really matters. If you can hold it like 3 full years or even 10, which is ideal, like you're gonna make out like a bandit, really.
I've been looking at the charts, right? And I used to talk shit about TA, but the charts are.
Yeah, I see you trying to convince people that TA is a real thing now.
I mean, it is because you're saying the 200-week moving average. That's technical analysis, bro. So we gotta be knowledgeable of what's going on. But I've been seeing that the volume over the last week, 2.2 million Bitcoin have been bought in just the last week, and the volume is way more than there was in the bull run that we just had. So I think a lot of companies are accumulating. I think a lot of people are accumulating and not talking about it. And I think it's going to be a bigger explosion. And I think
this
the $2 million
bank issue is huge. It's huge.
Absolutely. I think that the $2 million price, I'm sorry, the $1 million Bitcoin price is possible, but it's not probable in that time frame. It could happen, but I mean, I want it to happen, of course, but I don't know anything, right? Because everybody doesn't think it will happen. It might happen, because that's what Bitcoin loves to do. Bitcoin does the unthinkable every time, all the time. Even when Bitcoin was at 19,000 just a couple of days ago, and everybody was short, I was like, yo, everybody is short Bitcoin, and I already know they're gonna get smacked up. And what happened? We pumped like 10 grand in like 3 days. So, and of course, I knew that because I was watching the charts and I was looking at the volume. So, I used to hate on TA, but TA can help you make some money. So,
hey, and just the opposite, of course, it could retrace, back down to 20, no problem. But you just don't know.
Under 20,000, there's not really a lot of sell liquidity. Like people in the street, even a lot of people in the space, they're not paying attention. Like 60% of UTXOs haven't moved in a year and 28.5% haven't moved in 5 years. Like these metrics are going off. Like we're setting up, like this is going to be a massive foundation for a monster move. I'm really convinced of it now.
The FOMO's in the beginning.
Even with this 80% price bump, the amount of coins not moving has increased. Like this is extremely bullish. Like the last time this happened, this was in like 2015, 2016.
So you don't think though, to play devil's advocate, that the market crashes, to 3,200, the S&P 3,000, whatever, that it's going to affect the Bitcoin price? It's got to.
No.
And
I think it absolutely will. The problem is, like, it'll be very brief though. Like, if you can withstand that for a month or two, like max, like it'll rebound, especially if there's a liquidity injection. Sure. Like coins aren't like people are going to be forced to liquidate. They shouldn't be using leverage anyway. But like, the hodler base is not going to sell again if we go back down there. I really don't think so.
The part that I found confusing was that everyone was like, okay, cool, we've got a banking crisis, so we better sell our Bitcoin. Like, this is the first time that we actually have an escape hatch. In 2008, there was no escape hatch. You had to sit there and wait until they fixed it in order for your wealth to go up. Now you see a bank go bust, like you can turn into Balaji. You can take your wealth and go, 99% into Bitcoin or whatever he's done. That wasn't around back in 2008. That's new. And so people really are underestimating that. And then you take into account what Mitchell said, where 60 to 75, 80% of Bitcoin are not moving no matter what happens to the price.
Yeah.
That's
Like
true.
the price will get set on the margins all day, but fundamentally these coins are moving, and it's only going to increase. This is with like less than 1% of the population being seriously concerned about it in any way. So
I think what everybody misses here, how many are us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 people. We're all in first world type countries, and et cetera. There's so many countries, and I'm in Africa, that these people are in big trouble. They can't spend their money. My wife's from Zimbabwe, so um, it's a mess. And to have something that you have complete control over, as opposed to all these countries where you can take out $200 a month and that's it, and they're confiscating this and they're confiscating that. I mean, that's real for a lot of people, and we don't feel that. I'm from America. Most of you are, I guess, and the UK. So, but that is a really important feature that we don't recognize, really.
well, we're privileged with very strong property laws, like relatively, and relatively like good well-being, whatever, like dollar amount per capita, whatever. So people don't really care. But
Yeah, I've been saying that since 2020, that Americans are spoiled as fuck and we don't realize how blessed we are. And like you're saying, people all over the country, I mean, all over the world that are not as fortunate as us are going to be adapt and quick to adopt Bitcoin. And I think it relates kind of like to the Bible, right? God says that the people that were first will be last, and people that will be last will be first. Because the people that are struggling now, they understand the power of Bitcoin, and they're going to move and adopt Bitcoin much faster than people like us here in America who are spoiled as fuck and don't think anything can happen to us. So that's
Right.
my thought on it.
Well,
British.
why do you think El Salvador adopted as legal tender? Right. I mean, it wasn't Canada, it wasn't the UK, it was El Salvador, and there was a reason.
Hey, British. I want to show you guys the volume.
So here he comes with his technical analysis.
Let me know when y'all can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
We can see it.
All right, perfect. So this is the first $60,000 top that we got here. Came back down, retraced. Second top, so we had the double here, guys. The volume is pretty steady at the 100,000, around 100,000, as you can see on the right hand, 100 to $200,000. Over the last, what is this? It's November, June, so July. Let's just go to November. We started in July. Look at all this volume. Look at all this volume, guys. Look at all this buying. Look at all this selling. This is more than the entire bull market when we hit 60,000 twice. This is way more volume. So a lot more people are buying and selling, but I think there's going to be a lot more buying. And like one of you guys were saying, I think it's going to be a massive, massive move because there's less than 21 million because, some people lost it. A lot of people lost their Bitcoin from back in the day. A lot of people are losing their coins now, right? A lot of people forget their private keys. Some people sell their coins to whales that are never going to sell them again. But this volume, it paints a picture about what's going to happen, in my opinion. So I just wanted to share that because you can see even when we
what is
hit
the volume in? If you don't, what is
I
the volume?
I
in?
wonder
Is
if
it
that's
USD or Tether?
institutions. Is that institutional volume? You think most of it?
I would assume so.
I
Because
think,
Right.
I think that might be Binance free, zero trading fees on Bitcoin. To be
well, this
honest with
is
you.
600,000. This is up to 600,000 people of Bitcoin being bought each. This is the daily chart too. So this is a daily chart. So each day, it's just a lot of Bitcoin being bought up, guys.
Right. Yeah, but
plus,
who's
to
selling?
mention,
But
we
who's
have another
selling it?
supply shock coming in about 1 year with the halving. Plus, the HODL rates are off the chart. So, I mean, if there was a significant amount of demand, like serious, like tens of billions, like 500 million, $600 million market buys, if they started coming into the supply shock, like it's gonna move.
That's what I was saying on Dowdu's podcast earlier today when we recorded. It's like, everyone thinks that the retail market is what's important. Not anymore. It's we're at the point where the retail market is going to be irrelevant very, very soon, if not
Retail
already.
They have no money.
Yeah, like most wealth is most wealth is managed, and so at this point, you're playing catch up. Like if you're sitting there on the sidelines wondering, "Oh, should I bother learning about Bitcoin?" You're fucked already. Like
They will buy these bags. They will.
Well,
absolutely.
I
Because
think when
really
they
rich
do
people, they care
approve
about
an
money too.
ETF,
Like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think when they approve an ETF, it's just going to be humongous. I mean, a lot of people don't, but I mean, you're talking these registered investment advisors have.
He keeps getting knocked out because of his internet connection.
Hardo, quick question. If Balaji is right, what do you think, if he's correct, what do you think is going to happen to the price and how people are going to react to Bitcoin? Do you think it will cause people to buy more, or will it kind of make people feel like it's rigged, or like he had some kind of crystal ball to know that Bitcoin would hit 1 million or whatever in this purported amount of days?
I think the Balaji bet is going to be one of the most important things to happen in this cycle. And everyone said like, "Oh, that's a bit stupid." But think about it. A week ago, no one was even thinking that Bitcoin could go to $1 million in such a short period of time. And in 1 week, the mind virus of that bet has done so much to help people argue about why it's going to. At this point, it's not even a question of why. It's not even a question of if it's going to happen. Him doing that has caused people to go, okay, it's just not going to happen in 90 days. So the idea of Bitcoin going to $1 million is over. Like whether it's going to go or not, now people are asking how fast can it happen? That's a huge step forward in thought, in mind virus that people were not paying attention to last week. That's huge.
How much of the price do you think can and is really manipulated?
The problem with when everyone talks about manipulation and this, that, and the other, you can't manipulate a finite asset for too long. So you can have short-term manipulation, and you can cause a waterfall in the trading books and this, that, and the other bullshit, whatever you want to do, to grab a moment to acquire. You can do that. Like if we all had 5,000 Bitcoin each, and we wanted to orchestrate a waterfall crash in the markets, we could do that with just that amount of Bitcoin, right? Just between us. Just at the right time, wait for the order books to dry up and then dump onto the market, and we would cause that waterfall to happen. But that doesn't last because it will get bought up really quickly. So you got to be very, very sharp, and that's what happened in the last few days. If you think about it, not in the last few days, yesterday when the Federal Reserve came out and said what they said about interest rates, the market dipped down, and we're already back. We're already back, and I think that's what Mitchell is trying to say. Like the order books are so dry, and the amount of buying volume coming in is so high. It's like it's impossible for the price to stay where it's going to stay.
Yeah. Plus the fact that information's it moves so fast. Plus the unique ability to take private custody basically within 30 to 40 minutes off an exchange. That's revolutionary.
Yeah,
like this isn't like BMA. Like you're not selling 100-ounce gold bars that you got to go inspect, or it's instantaneous. So you can rug pull these people whenever you want if you just want your money and you want to. Leverage can get wiped really quick. So I don't know.
That's what Balaji said as well. He goes, now a bank run doesn't involve you standing outside of the bank anymore. You go onto your online banking and click wire out. That's how a bank run happens now, right? So that's also fascinating. Like we've never been in a situation where a bank run can happen through an iPhone.
And pretty quick.
And very quick. VP, I don't know whether you want me to say your name or not, but what's your thoughts about Bitcoin in Mexico?
In Mexico, well, my friends think I'm crazy. All the people around me think I'm crazy. because they think like there's a, how do you say, fraud. So they think
Fraud.
Bitcoin is
Yeah.
a fraud. So they do not understand. They think, well, they see something is going on because we all together watch the prices increasing.
Increasing. Yeah.
So
Increasing. Yep.
we know something is wrong, but they do not know to how to get, how do you say, how to get the other part of the inflation, o sea, they do not know that bitcoin I'm sorry,
Tranquila.
bitcoin does.
We understand you. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go. They do not know that bitcoin is against inflation,
Yeah,
they don't
it's
know the gain,
deflationary.
but they do also, they understand that prices are increasing a lot, also faster than ever. So they think I'm crazy. I do not trying to convince them, because also I talk to them by Bitcoin, but I don't try to convince them because it's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to be um, getting Bitcoin, Satoshis, and everything. But if they do not want to see what's going on, or they don't want to study, or they don't want to know, so it's not my responsibility. So I
Absolutely.
just talk once with my friends about Bitcoin. They don't want it, so I'm not going to insist with Bitcoin. And for my family, I know my father and my mother doesn't understand very well what Bitcoin is, but I forced them, literally, I forced them to buy Bitcoin. I was like, okay, I don't know if you understand or not. I don't care. So you, right now, you're going to buy Bitcoin, Satoshis. I don't care. So does maybe they don't know what's going on because it's too close. Also, well, Bitcoin has not exploded yet, so they don't know yet what's going on and why I made them buy more Bitcoin. So
What's the
I
inflation rate? What's the inflation rate in Mexico?
7.8, 7.8,
So that's the
something like that.
CPI. Is that the
Excuse me.
CPI? Is that what you would consider the CPI? Like we call it the CPI.
That's the government inflation number.
Is that the
Yeah,
government inflation number?
it's the government
Okay.
inflation.
So
Yes,
there,
it is.
in reality, it's probably twice that, like it is in
Yeah,
Yeah.
America.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
real number is more higher. So
Right, but I would have thought it'd be higher. So it's kind of similar to America. It's not that much higher in
it's not
America.
much. They hide
Yeah.
the number because they know the people it will scare. So they hide the number. So that's my story, and that's in Mexico. I have a few friends, just a few friends that they listened and they are like, okay, it sounds like, how do you say, it sounds good, well, sounds, how do you say,
Makes sense to them.
Makes
It
makes
makes
sense.
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 Makes
Yeah.
sense what are you saying. So I say to them, do not invest in Bitcoin just because me, also because Violeta say that invest in Bitcoin. You have to learn about this because this is will be the future, and it will be for great humanity. So you have to learn about this. And then I know they don't look for so much information, but well, a few of them are just literally like five people. So there's five plus me, plus my mom, plus my dad, plus my husband. So no, it's not a lot of people. So they don't understand, and they say, well, in Mexico it's funny because I say to them, you have to invest because they want immediately things, the phone, the car, everything, the clothes, everything. No? And I say to them, you have to invest and you have to invest in Bitcoin because it's a little bit of risk. O sea, it's not a lot of risk in investment. So they say, no, later. And I saw them with two cars, new cars. And I was like, okay, maybe don't understand what I'm saying. And they say, I need a new phone. And I was like, you don't need a new phone. So you need to invest. But they don't realize, they don't care. So I just I just did what do I supposed to did once. So I tell them, and it's not my responsibility. So I don't care no more, you know. But
It's
it's
kind of it's
it's
kind of it's kind of crazy that you know Bitcoin in this cycle came down to the point where not buying an iPhone could mean that you had a tenth of a Bitcoin, right? Like that shit's crazy to me that we were even at that point where not buying an iPhone would give you a 1/10 of a base, $1,500. Like it's insane.
it's a lot of money. So it's yeah.
Remember when we were in these clubhouse rooms for like 2 years and 2 years straight? We would go to Bitcoin.com and we would see all that you could have bought and how much Bitcoin that would have been. And that's also why I stopped buying designer shit, because I have an $800 Louis belt that I bought in like 2016. And if I would have just bought Bitcoin, bro, I would have had more Bitcoin, and I have Bitcoin now. But also when I was down in Mexico, I love Mexico. I love Cancun. I love Playa del Carmen. I love Mexico to death. But when I was down there, I remember that Bitcoin was like, well, Bitcoin to Mexican pesos, it's like one Bitcoin is 500,000 Mexican pesos. But when I was down there, it was like it was 1.2 million Mexican pesos.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah. And I was
Okay.
like, man, I just want to move down here and retire. Fuck everything.
It's cheaper.
Because it was just it's so much of a conversion. It's just so much money over there. It's crazy.
Yes, it's a lot of money. It's crazy, but they dump. You know, they're dumb.
Yeah.
They
But I'm
they
glad
never
you at least
lies.
you understand, and me and British have gone through this for like again for like the last 2 years on Clubhouse, literally teaching people every single day, telling them to buy some Bitcoin, and they don't. Some people do, some people listen, some people
Yeah.
don't. But like you said, the only thing we can do is we can lead the horse to the water. We
Okay.
can't. So you did your job, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Chris, the funniest part for me was when everyone would worry about which wallet they should use over buying the Bitcoin, and that they would they would stop buying Bitcoin because they were scared about which wallet they should use. Those are the days. Those were the fun days. Well, what can you do? You know. Well, look at this question we got over here. Hold on, I'm gonna try something fancy.
There you
Look
go.
at that.
What's your
I'm getting
opinion?
good at. Hey, Chris, I'm getting good at this. It's my first
Read,
time using.
read it for us. It's pretty small for me.
It said,
Uh,
"What's your opinion on if the government prevents us from buying Bitcoin through programmable CBDCs?"
well, what's your opinion?
And I'll answer after as well.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, as I said this on the Bitcoin Source podcast interview that I just did before this live stream, most people are fucked. Like, well, let's just be real about it. Like, if you're sitting there on the internet worried about CBDCs and what if they stop me buying Bitcoin, clearly, you're not focused on the right thing. You should be focused on getting the Bitcoin first. We can tell the CBDCs are coming. We know this is going to happen. So you should be focused on protecting yourself now. And as far as most people go, most people are going to be fucked because most people are always fucked. That's just how this works. At this point, Bitcoin, you just had a top 20 bank in the US go bust. You've just had them print 50% of all the quantitative tightening they did. They reprinted in the space of a week. Like, at this point, Bitcoin's an IQ test. And if you don't get any Bitcoin, you're just too stupid. I don't know any other way. I don't know how to say it nicer. Like, you're just too stupid. Like, it's a pure and utter IQ test at this point.
My thoughts on that would be, I think they are going to stop people from doing it, because I was going to ask you, British, as well. I saw that they're coming after Cash App. They're stopping people from doing wires into Kraken, and they're cutting off all the banks, right? That deal with crypto. So I
The,
think they
the
are
wires
already
into the wires into Kraken was a Silvergate issue. I think. I don't think it's.
Silvergate.
Yeah.
So I think that they will be able to stop you. And like you said, I think it's going to be if you don't have at least one Bitcoin if you don't have at least one Bitcoin by now, when you had a second chance at 16,000, 15,000 to stack up as much Bitcoin as you can, like you said, it's a little bit too late. But I think by them banning Bitcoin, it's going to do what they did when they banned weed and when they banned alcohol. Whenever the government bans anything, everybody wants to take advantage of it. Everybody wants to get it even more. So I think that's actually going to be in the benefit of Bitcoin, because when they ban weed and when they ban alcohol, everybody wanted to do those things even more. Nobody wants their government telling them what to do. So in my opinion, I think by them doing that, it's actually going to ignite the flame and make people actually buy Bitcoin even more. In my opinion,
And we're talking about money, not drugs. We're talking about sound money.
exactly.
Like it's not going to be, it's not going to be held back.
I don't think Bitcoin. In fact, if anything, if Chris, what you're saying is right, where if they ban it, then the adoption goes through the roof. The worst thing that they'll do is actually ban the Bitcoin. They don't want adoption. If you're a controller of a currency, you don't want Bitcoin being adopted. So in that case, what you should do is make it completely and utterly like, oh yeah, you can get it anywhere else in the world. Because then, if Chris is right, people won't go for it. So you got to play a little bit of reverse psychology. I just think like if you're living in the West, yes, this is a privileged opinion, yes, etc., whatever bullshit. If you're living in the West and you have a slight level of IQ, you should have got to one Bitcoin in this cycle. I don't think that you're going to have a chance going forward to do that. If this spikes, let's say Balaji is 10% right about what he's saying about the banking system. That's $100,000 Bitcoin, right? So now everyone's out. Like most people in the world are out. You had your chance up to now. You got people on YouTube talking about it. You got people writing books like Saifuddin Amu's writing books about this, great books. Like you got to take responsibility for your own self. You can't wait until the government tells you you can do something or you can't do something. Michael Saylor went and put his entire net worth and his company's net worth into Bitcoin before the accounting rules had changed. So he's dealing with stock manipulation that's going on in his company because of accounting rules that have not changed. That's how winners win. You do things before other people do them.
And again, if Michael Saylor has billions of dollars and he's investing in Bitcoin, and you're scared to put $1,000, $10,000, $20,000,
See, I know. Let
It's
me
the
tell you
information
something.
asymmetry, huge information asymmetry. Like, just like me, I'm sure he sleeps like a baby because his money is safe and sound. It can't be debased. It can't be stolen. It can't be seized. It can't be printed. None of that. Like he's sitting on, he's relatively, or actually very, very cheap financing for it. I think 2025 his first loans come up. So like, he's sitting pretty. It's a legendary bet what he did.
Yep.
VP, what were you
Let
going
me
to say?
share something with you. Like, I think my government wants to control who they have Bitcoin or not. Why? Because before I get in really exchange to buy my Bitcoins, in Mexico is an app, it called Bitso, and you can buy Bitcoins over there, but it's regular by the government. It's kind of a fintech. You know what a fintech is?
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah. Okay. It's kind of a fintech. So you buy over there the Bitcoin, and after my mentor say, you have to get your Bitcoins out of the exchange and put it in a hard wallet, in a
Wallet.
cold wallet, in a cold
Okay.
wallet. You have to put it in a cold wallet. So once I made that, the app asked me three questions. Like I was like, what is that for? The question number one is, this how do you say it? This direction, all the numbers from the wallet. Is this direction for another hard, no, cold water? Only go cold water, cold
Wallet.
wallet, or hot water, hot wallet. And I was like, what? Why? And I was like, cold wallet. And after that, it's your wallet or is somebody else's wallet. And I say I'm not gonna say it's my wallet, right? So I say it's somebody else's wallet. So they say what's the owner of the who's the owner of the wallet? And I was like, really, three these questions to get my bitcoins like out of the exchange. And after that, I didn't use that app no more, and because I was pretty new on this. But I was like, okay, this is like, why do you want to know who owns the bitcoin, and it's really awkward because it's also Bitcoin is freedom, and you don't have to know who has Bitcoin or not. Who has own Bitcoin. So after that, I was like, they want to control who has Bitcoin or no. It's really awkward.
Yeah, I think every
And that's it.
government will want to know who has Bitcoin and where it is and why they have it, etc., etc. A friend of mine here in Colombia, I was at the gym and he said the moment he got pissed off with the banking system was when he went in there to take $30,000 or $40,000 out so he could buy a Rolex, and they started asking him, why do you want your money?
But the one,
This is ridiculous. Like for a bank, before they wire you your own money to ask you what do you want money for is absolutely crazy. But this is what happens.
yeah.
So I guess as far as CBDCs go, stop being such a pussy. That's the answer to that question. I think. All right, guys. I think this was fun. Hey, Chris, thanks for telling me to do the live streams. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. I think this is dope. I think we should do this more often. And I think this was a great hour that we had just talking and chatting. And, every day we get, or whenever you want to do it, I'm down to do it. So much love, brother.
I just don't like scheduled things.
Yeah.
Like I don't like doing a podcast. I'll be interviewed on a podcast. That's fine. But me having my own podcast, I can't do that. It's not my personality. So we can just do these as and when. But I kind of like these. Next time we'll plan it a little bit further so we can have more people jump on as well. I know everyone's favorite American Hodl was about to jump on maybe like 30 minutes ago, but he hasn't come in yet. So we'll get him next time. All right, guys. Well, have a beautiful afternoon. I'm going to finish this cigar and go for some lunch. And then I'll probably be shit posting on Twitter again.
Mhm.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.